our meeting this morning or this night. Um, as our prayer meeting, the topic is our armor, our armor, and we are looking at this text for this is taken from Ephesians chapter uh, 6. We are looking at specifically verse number 14, verse number 14. But we'll start from the 10, so that we give it a little bit of context. So Ephesians chapter 6 from verse number 10 to 14 says, "Finally be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." So when we say our armor, that's where it comes from. The armor of God becomes our armor. The armor that we need in this battle. It says, put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. It says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm." 13, it says, "Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with a breastplate of righteousness in place." Amen. We have looked at some part of the 1 to 13, but we do a quick summary of those verses, and then we can look at the 14 again. So it says, "Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power." And it says that put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. So this is the context of where we have to have an armor and put it on and be able to watch and be able and to be able to for us to stand any chance of winning this battle. In the physical, when people go for battle, they have to have an armor, a gear that they put on, and they have equipment in terms of the weapons that they use, for the armor, for the battle. But it is exactly the same in the spiritual. It's exactly the same in the spiritual, only that the spiritual, the armor, they are not physical. As Paul himself said, that the weapons that we fight with, they are not that of the world. The armor is not. So sometimes it may not make sense. You look in terms of the things that he mentioned and you think of how is that an armor. But trust me, these are mighty armors that we need. These are mighty armors that we need in the battle that we engage in. He said, "Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power." You see, that is what that we are doing. That is our quest. Our quest is to be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. And that includes we doing putting on the full armor, not part of it, but full armor. So Paul uses the Roman soldier, the breastplates, the helmet, the shoes, the belts, and all those stuff, and then the shield. He uses that too. So if that soldier goes to battle and does not have any of these, then he's not complete for the battle. Those days, the battles were it is not today that they use all kinds of different kinds of weapon electronics and all those stuff, drones and all this stuff. Then you have your sword, you have your javelin, you have your shield, you put it and then you go physical. So if you're not protected, those things come, they hit you and you are gone. You are gone. Today, battle is a little bit different. But in the spiritual, spiritual battles are fought individually and they are fought also as a group, you know. So, but the individual one is what is very prominent, is what is really important. So, if we know how to, we know what the armor is, and we put on these armor, with the various parts of the armor that God has given us, then, brethren, we are in a better place, to succeed in this battle. And this battle is not something that we have to take lightly at all. This battle is very, very real. Because it says, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Our struggle. This is Apostle Paul saying our struggle, which means that there's there's that realization that there's a contention. And I believe that, we all can testify to the fact that yes, we can also, testify to the fact that yes, there is contention and contention in the spirit, where you see things, going in certain directions that you see that things must change. Things must, you know, things must realign. Things must, follow a particular distance for you to succeed. Otherwise, you see that in the particular direction that you be going, you see that if there's not an intervention and that of an intervention from above, you see that no, you'll be on your way down. You will be on your way down. So it is really important, brethren, that we acknowledge the fact that yes, this battle going on, we are to do what we are to put on the armor that is needed, the armor that is needed. So and God has given us the armor. Verse um so it talks about the kind of forces that we fight against. And these forces, sometimes we look at it from a distance, but sometimes they are very close to us. And I keep on saying that sometimes they are very close to us. And if you do not do these things, that is where you have a serious problem. It says, therefore, 13 says, therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your grounds. Put on the full armor. So these things that we're talking about, they are very important. So we have to put them on. So when the day of evil comes, and we have said that the day of evil is when the forces of darkness can intensify in a particular way, and you can have it manifest in all kinds of ways. It can be sickness, it can be something against your job, it can be your temptation that you fall into, it can be anything. So when you don't have this armor in place, and that the devil shows up in that particular way, brethren, trust me that you will not be able to stand because it is these forces, as you said, they are not flesh and blood. We are not going to sin physically come. No, and they come with a force that is very, very powerful. And it's only the armor that we receive from God that is strong enough to overcome what they bring up against us. What they bring up against us. So it says that therefore put on the full armor, so not part of the armor. As we go to, let's take notice of it and make effort to make sure that we put in so that when the day of evil comes, you'll be able to stand your ground. And after you've done everything to stand, stand firm then. So you have to stand your ground, even when you are in this armor, you have to stand your ground. You have to be firm in it. Because what the enemy will do, if he can get you to take off those armor, because they are your protection. If he can let you to lose, keep your guard, down, then he can do it. He can strike you and strike you big. Yeah, he can strike you and strike you big. So, uh, so we have to stand firm in these things, stand firm in them. But therefore, stand firm with the belt of truth buckled around your waist. The belt of truth. You see, the belt of truth is seen as part of the armor, being truthful. Okay, because Jesus Christ referred to Satan as what? The father of lies. Lies come from him. So truth is from us. We have to be in a place where honesty becomes who we are, becomes our identity. You speak, you open your mouth, people don't think twice. Like one man was giving a testimony, somebody said, look, I believe you so much that if you come tomorrow and say the sun will rise from the west, I will believe. Or the sun is rise from the west, I will believe. That tells you how much, faith or trust the person has in that individual. That is how it's supposed to be. Okay, if you want to stand a chance against the devil, take away lies from your life, lies from your lips. Be honest, be truthful, speak the truth in everything that we do, in everything that you do, in all your dealings. Be clean, be honest. Because you see, We have we have come from a society that thinks that makes that things that or make people think that when you lie, you are smart. When you lie, you are smart. But you see, that smartness is of the devil. It's the smartest that comes from the dark world. And that smartness, when the day of evil comes, trust me, you have no chance to stand. It will strike you down. So being honest, being truthful, he said it's a belt of what? It's a belt that puts, you know, the what we wear, the armor, put it in place. So it says the belt of truth buckled our waist. You have to keep it in place. Everything that you do, wherever you go, in all your dealings, let's be honest. Let's speak the truth. Yeah, let's speak the truth. You know, to the point that people will believe you. And you don't know how much truth is important, or how much truth is a mighty part of the armor that we have or God has given us. Okay. Lies must be far away from us. Lies must be far away from us. As a stand firm with the belt of truth buckled around us, with a breastplate of righteousness in place. Righteousness, right living, whatever God considers as right, how to live. That is what we are to, not what society says. Today, what is trending, what is trending in society, people are in the church today, and the sense of righteousness is very little. People fornicate, people commit adultery, people are not married and they live with people in the church, women and men they are not married, committing all kinds of sins, and it's acceptable, you know. But you see, it's not about what society thinks; it's about what God thinks. You see, when the devil can get you to do those things, make you think that certain things are normal, certain things are okay, and you will walk along those lines. What happens? What happens is that you put yourself in a position where you are in serious danger of the weapons of the enemy when it comes up against you. You ensure it takes away, you expose yourself. You don't know, you don't have, when the devil went to the God about Job, what did he say? He said God has put a hedge around him. And that's where we are told in the beginning of the book of Job that he's a righteous man. So so he's a righteous man and God has put a hedge around him. Is that not a protection? That's a protection. So his righteousness has caused the protection of God to be placed around him. You see, his righteousness has caused the protection of God to be put around him. So let us not think, and as the world says things like, oh, you cannot, they say things like you can't, uh, I mean, they say funny, silly things sometimes, but they know we would. You can't live without certain things like, if you are married and your wife is not there, you cannot live, without sex. So people will have to go to places. Those those are those are worldly. They are worldly and they are traps. They are snares of the darkness. They are snares that the enemy can use as a means. So if the enemy can get you involved in those things, then he can do what? He can come and shoot his arrows at you. He can come and so we talked about truth. We talked about uh, truth, and we talk about how do you call it, righteousness. He said the breastplate. So it says a breastplate. Righteousness serves as a breastplate, and you see it protects very essential parts. The body. It protects the heart, protects your lungs, it protects your rib cage, it protects all those vital parts of you. That when the enemy shoots his this thing against you, that righteous life you have serves as a breastplate, that protects you. Today, like they have the bulletproof, vest. That's what breastplate, said then. And when that thing is shot against you, you will stand. You will stand. So it is very, very important, brethren, that we take these things seriously. This armor, they are really, really important part. It's not only about, yes, prayer is very important. That we're going to be praying, we're going to be praying long, and then we encourage that people pray long. But you can't pray long and still live in lies. You can't pray long and live in righteousness. That's that's it won't work. You know, it won't work. So for you to succeed, you have to do it. For you to succeed, you have to uh, make sure against succeed and stand in this battle that we're engaging. You have to ensure that we are put on the armor of God. In this case, we say truth and righteousness. Let us make that as we stand in this battle, and then we'll see that we will succeed and we'll see how the Lord will work things in our lives. Amen.